later for you. At the 26-minute mark, I'm answering your question. So this question is, loving my work and biz. However, recently I felt a little uninspired, which is really challenging me because this uninspired feeling is very foreign to me. I'm usually full of inspiration. I wonder if there's a lesson here for me to sit with this uninspired feeling and be pleasantly surprised by what comes my way. I love that. In the meantime, tips, suggestions for when one is feeling uninspired would be lovingly welcome. Thank you. So my first thought is like, this happens, right? And this is what we talk about a lot in Emerge and Expand, that we are operating in a world that is all about bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Like everything should be amazing all the time. Like positive mindset, like to the point where it's kind of got a little bit gone the other way into like everything should be positive. You should be in love with your business every day. You should be, just so inspired all the time. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong. There's something wrong with you. And that is just when the seasons come back really, really well. And this is the whole framework of what we do in Emerge and Expand, that you can't be in summer all the time, right? If you were in summer all the time, I would be cranky if it was summer all the time as a season. But like thinking, that kind of high visibility, high inspiration, big energy mode for all of us. And I think even people who are super extroverted just cannot be in that mode all the time. And so inevitably, there will be times where we need to take a step back. We need to rest. We need to tap back into our inspiration. We need to check back in with our goals. The more autumn, winter kind of phase, which, we're in Australia, that is where we're at right now, like season-wise, like actual season-wise. And so it kind of makes sense that we would be maybe taking a step back to do some reflecting, to get out and actually live. I was talking with someone about this the other day. I can't remember who it was, but the fact that we can actually get into a zone where we are just working all the time. We're thinking about content. We're trying to make reels. We're sending emails. We're working on programs behind the scenes. We're showing up for our clients. And we actually forget that like life exists outside of this bubble. And especially for people who are early in their journey or having a bit of a quiet season right now, where they don't maybe have the opportunity to do so much of the thing that is their business. So much of the coaching or the energy healing or the whatever it is that you do in your business, that what can happen is that we get so caught in the day-to-day minutia of things that, again, the emailing and the thinking about business and the working out our office suite and all of the things, that we actually stop doing so much of the thing we love to do. And that can really help with the feeling of being uninspired. Because when you get back into the energy of that, you're like, oh yeah, that's why I love my business. That's what I love about doing what I'm doing, because it's actually being with people, being in community, being in connection with them, doing the coaching, doing the thing that I do well. And I've been spending most of my week working on things behind the scenes, admin, emails, all of that stuff. So the first thing is, that was something that came up this week, and it seems to be a bit of a theme at the moment. I do think that whether you're in the Northern Hemisphere and it's summer right now, the thought of maybe being inside working away on your business is like kind of contradictory to the weather and how you're feeling right now. And if you're in winter right now in Australia and New Zealand, that being the case that like sometimes we just need to do a little bit of hibernating. Sometimes we do need to, I think we should be scheduling in time to reflect and step back all the time and, on a regular basis before we get to this point, if we can. But sometimes we're just going to feel uninspired. Sometimes that's going to last for an hour. Sometimes that's going to be a day, and that just means taking a step back and having a break and going and doing something that brings you joy, even if it has nothing to do with your business, especially if it has nothing to do with your business. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month. I have spoken to people who have been feeling that way for years in their business. And so the fact this is a foreign thing to you is wonderful. And because there are people who kind of go into phases of like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling like this for 3 years. So that can happen. And the thing is, like, exactly like you said, like, do I sit with the uninspired feeling? You could, absolutely. My feeling around like in the energy work that I have done and the healing work that I have done, that like sitting in the energy of that feeling can actually just spiral down into like getting worse and worse and worse and being more and more frustrating. At least once a month I have that feeling. It is usually at a very specific time of the month, and I know we've spoken about that in this group before as well, that sometimes that happens. We have different hormones and things happening, and that can mean that is just like a few days of just hating everything. And so that is kind of nice to know that like, oh, that is a thing that happens sometimes. What do I need in that moment to stop focusing on that feeling and do something else that takes me back into feeling good? For myself, I usually will take some time off. I will turn the computer off and go do something else. I will just chill out on the couch and have just a relaxing couple of days. It might be going and reading something you haven't read before, going out and just being in nature, and remembering that the feeling will pass. But in my experience, like, it's important to feel that feeling. Be like, oh, I'm feeling really blah about things right now. And then also like, how do I move into it, like shift that and then move into a different energy? Because I could sit with this and be like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Oh, and definitely do that, a little bit of journaling around it. And then also like, okay, I'm going to go do something else today, because otherwise sometimes that can just lead into like a spiral of like, oh, well, then this is happening and now I'm feeling this and all of this stuff. So it really depends on yourself and your mindset. I definitely know sometimes we need to take a really cold, hard look at the reality of things, and then also and how we're feeling and what's going on for us and what the external circumstances are that might be impacting us. And also find places that we can, push energy, like not push energy, but like exist in a different place. Because so often if we go, okay, I'm feeling gross over here and dank and, the energy is really stagnant, I'm going to go out with a friend today instead of doing work, or I'm going to go spend time with my kid, or I'm going to go out in nature, or I'm going to, just do something like take myself out for lunch or something like that. So often when we return, we feel so much better. And we could have just sat here in the dankness all day, or we could have like gone away, shifted our energy and come back with a fresh perspective and gone, okay, what's going on here? In my experience, it is never a good idea to try and explore what's going on, what the harsh realities are when you're already in a low energy place, because that's when it can start to get really bad. Whereas if you go out and you can come back and be feeling like, okay, I'm good to check this out and be really real with myself now, but from this place instead of from the feeling bleh kind of place, then what we can do is actually, start to take a bit of a step back from it. You've gone out, you've lived your life, you remember there's more to life than this business, and then you can come back with a bit of an outsider perspective, and usually that's when you can get a better lay of the land. Whereas when you're so in it, it's really hard to separate yourself from it, and it's also really hard to like separate all your emotions and humanness from that as well. A couple of other suggestions for you in a practical resource way, and for anybody else who is feeling like this right now or finds themselves at any point feeling like that. In the Cozy Business Quest, let me just bring that up for you. So everyone in Emerge and Expand and the Community Hub has access to this. Keep hitting settings button instead of the present button. So if you haven't had a chance to go through the Cozy Business Quest yet, in this section here that I made specifically for any challenges that you might be faced with at any point in your business, there is a whole section for you on that I would highly recommend taking some time to go through. Again, similar to the Evergreen Email Adventure, these are very short videos, like that was 2 minutes, right? In here, so this one is the first section. It is like pack your survival kit. It is like inevitably you will have days that feel like this. You will go through uninspired points in your business. But when you come in here, there are some side quest cards that I created that have ideas, something that you can do to just get out of this zone where you're sitting at the computer hoping for inspiration to come back and go do something else, knowing that inevitably it will be so much better for your mental health, for your inspiration and creativity to do that. That is what we're doing. We're experimenting, we're trying things. This goes back to the first question that we had as well, of knowing that, you've got all these ideas, figuring out what the right format is to put it into, or what the right next step is, and then trying it, seeing how it feels, seeing what the result is, and then making a decision from there about what your next step is. That is all we're doing. We're making like micro decisions every single day. We're going, okay, this is my, my metric. This is what I'm using to help me to decide if this is going well. And this is my metric to help me decide if I need to start making some tweaks and changes. And that is what we're doing like kind of every day. That is like the one constant in our business, that we don't necessarily know when the clients are going to come in or where they're going to come from. Eventually you get to a point where, you've got a system in place that helps make that a little bit more predictable and sustainable. But what we can do is we can know, what am I actually measuring? What is important to me? And how is that going on a regular basis when I'm checking in? And so often what we can do is we can just keep powering full steam ahead. We've got a massive never-ending to-do list, especially as solopreneurs. There are so many different balls that we're juggling and so many different things that we have been told are important in our business. And we need to kind of come back to like, what is actually important to me? What are the metrics that are important and meaningful to me and are in alignment with my goals? And that is something that is the cozy business way in my mind, that for most of us, we have learned about online business by engaging with other people in online business, and they have their methods for success. They have their KPIs and key success indicators, and KPIs, key performance indicators. So your KPIs are your things like, how many new subscribers did I get this month? How many, new followers that I get this month? How much money did I make this month? Like those kind of as your ways of knowing that your business is like hitting the numbers that you would like to hit each month. And then your like success indicators are, what are the input things that I'm doing? So like I sent 5 newsletters this month, or I did 3 Substack articles this month, and then being able to gauge how those two things match together. So are the things that I'm doing actually helping with the results that I'm trying to get? And I'm not a numbers person, I'm not a metrics person at all, but I do really understand and appreciate the importance of that, because we want to make sure that the limited time and energy that we might have to put into areas of our business are actually going into things that are moving the needle for us, that are actually getting us closer to our goals, that are helping us feel that meaningful progression and progress towards our goals. And so often we're working towards things that are somebody else's goal, or we're focusing on things that other people are experts at, or we're looking in a direction of like, that's what success looks like because that person seems to have it, and so that must be what I need. And it's so important. This is kind of diverted a little bit from the initial conversation, but like, it's so important that we actually have clarity on what we're working towards, on what our goals are, on what success feels like for us. And oftentimes when we're feeling uninspired or disconnected, that can sometimes be like, that's just how I'm feeling this week. And sometimes it can be because we're actually haven't looked at our goals recently, and we haven't checked in with, are we, still on course? That's why I called it the compass, because it's actually sometimes, and we've been talking about that a bit this week as well, we buy a course and we go, okay, I need to do a mastermind because I've invested all this money in a mastermind, and in a mastermind creating program. And so that has to be the next thing that I do so that I get the return on investment from the money I've invested into that. And so then you spend a year building out this mastermind idea or whatever, and then you get to a point and you go, oh, actually, I don't really want to do that. I want to work one-on-one with people, or I want to create digital products. And there's that disconnect of like, oh, but I spent all this money on this program. And like, how do I get that money back? Well, the only way to do that is to follow the steps in there and do the thing. And that's not necessarily true. Sometimes we'll join a program to see something that we absolutely don't want to do. And that helps us actually get closer to the thing we do want to do and the goals that we do have, and the meaningful progress and metrics and success indicators that we are aligned with. And sometimes we'll learn a little something over here that we can actually apply to multiple places in our business as well. But when we have a really strong and clear idea of what it is we want, what we love to do, what we're good at, we can then start to build out our own version of that and then keep coming back and checking in with that. Inevitably, we will get sidetracked, we will get, nudged a little bit off course, we will join programs that maybe we're like, oh, that seemed like such a good idea at the time, but actually, no, it's not what I want to do at all. And then we keep coming and checking back in every month. We check in with our goals and, back in with that compass. And then we can start to see like, oh, actually I started doing this, but it's actually taking me in a different direction that doesn't feel right or great for me right now. And then we can make, course adjustments and come back to alignment as well. So I hope that is helpful and gives you some things to think about, a few little resources there as well to check out. And for anybody else who might also be feeling a little bit like that, it is fine. It will pass. And if it starts to get to a point where it is, weeks and months down the track, sometimes it is worthwhile taking a little step back for a bit and focusing on a different project, bring something new to life that maybe has nothing to do with your business, but actually starts to get you inspired about just you and life and your ideas again.